Good evening. Welcome to Ask the Lady Electrical Inspector podcast. I am your host, Tabatha L. Tonight, I will give you the most common reasons: corner grounded delta, grounded B phase, electrical installation, fail electrical inspections. Service equipment, or any equipment fed directly by the utility company containing overcurrent devices that are supplied by the grounded B phase system, must be listed and labeled for grounded B phase. There are not many electrical distribution equipment manufacturers in North America that supply this type of system. This system is specially ordered. Each manufacturer has a unique installation requirement for their equipment. I will begin with describing this type of system. A grounded B-phase system looks very familiar. It looks very familiar and it looks similar to a single-phase system. But with electrical training and electrical knowledge, you can learn the difference between the two. So a corner grounded delta system, also referred to as a grounded B phase service, a grounded phase service, or in grounded delta system. The voltage to ground in this system will be the system voltage of 240 or 480. With the grounded B phase service, identification is required throughout the service and throughout the system. This identification is required so that you can avoid accidentally inserting any type of fuse or meter, instrument, relay in the grounded phase. As I mentioned, this is a very unique system offered by the utility company. So traditionally, the middle or the B phase is grounded in this type of setup. The B phase would be intentionally grounded to ground, to earth. It's intentionally done that way to develop and to ground one corner of the delta system. There are two common reasons why a grounded B phase service fail inspections on a regular basis in my area. As I mentioned, this is a very unique type of system. So when you're going to these jobs and you're going to do a service, this information would be crucial before you order any type of service equipment. You need to know what type of system the utility company is offering in that for that structure. So the two common reasons I fail these type of inspections are the service panels are not listed and labeled for grounded B phase service. The service overcurrent device, the breaker, is not listed or labeled for grounded B phase. A question that I get by electricians: why isn't it required for the utility company equipment to be listed, to have that type of rating on it, to be listed for grounded B phase? Why doesn't the meter has to say that? So the answer that I come up with is because that's the utility company's service equipment. It's their grounded delta system. So if they don't require it to be labeled at their equipment, We're the inside wiremen. They bring the utility to the building, and we take it from there. So that's just something that needs to be understand, that they're not required to put it on their system. So some kind of way they may identify it within their organization to know that it's a grounded B phase, but it's not up to us to determine that. It's up to us to make sure at that point that it entered the building that it's identified, and that any technician, electrician, maintenance personnel, or service person that comes there knows when they look at that system that it's grounded, and it's a grounded B phase, and it's a unique system. So that's why the utility meter doesn't have to be listed. Something I want to point out is that the service panel equipment must be listed and labeled, and it cannot say certified for grounded B phase. These are the two. These two words. They do have different meanings. Has been brought up on jobs where the wording would say certified. The special instruction for grounded B phase is it must have those wordings that is suitable for grounded B phase. I will explain that a little later. With the grounded B phase equipment, testing is required to get the equipment rated for grounded B phase, because most manufacturers do not test for this unique type of rating. Article 110.3b, it tells you that equipment has to be listed and labeled and not certified. The word suitable for grounded B phase must be present on the electrical equipment. It must be on the equipment. As I know, there are three manufacturers that manufacture this unique type of electrical service equipment. And each one has a unique set of instructions that you must follow when you're using this type of system for if you're going to order from their company. You have to have read their manufacturer's instructions and follow it to the letter. So there are some publications that you can look this information up on, and you can study and gain some insight on regarding the panel boards and the overcurrent devices. So you have UL Standard 67, and it's going to tell you about the two-pole breaker used in the panel board, marked for the corner B grounded delta system, shall be marked single phase, three phase. That's just an example with the, some of the information that this publication can provide for you. It's very good information. UL Standard 891, that's going to tell you some information about the breakers. UL Standard 489, same point. It's going to provide some information about the breakers. So there are standards that are pertinent to a grounded B phase delta system. These standards address three basic points. Any two poles intended for the use on a corner grounded delta system shall be tested and rated for use. Second point, no overcurrent device is permitted to be used to disconnect the ungrounded conductor unless this device simultaneously all conductors of the circuit, including the ground. The third point, if the system is corner grounded delta system and fuses will be used for the motor overload protection, a fuse must be installed in the grounded conductor, but only at the motor control when you're using fuses. So with that being said, these type of instructions are crucial when you're installing this unique type of system. So this information that I'm providing, this is something that you need to look into before you really get involved in this type of installation, because there's a lot of work involved. So with the overcarrying protection, this is a unique system. It's not located all over North America. Here in the St. Louis area, we have a lot of grounded B-phase systems. Grounded B-phase systems, they're not going to be used on new construction projects, only existing structures. I should have mentioned that early on when I first came out of the gate with this. No new construction. I've never inspected new construction. Only existing structures and replacement. Like if you need to replace that system, will this be allowed? So in the NEC, there are certain articles that pertain to this special, unique system, the grounded B-phase. You can find it under Article 230.90B, the overcurrent device. I'm not going to read all of it to you, but there are certain points that need to be addressed. The overcurrent device, it must disconnect it simultaneously. That is so important. It's so crucial that you know that. And the label on the overcurrent device shall not indicate three-phase, three-wire. It can't say that. If it says suitable for three-phase only, this breaker will not be accepted for a grounded B-phase service. When a three-pole breaker are used to connect a grounded system, it is preferred and recommended by the manufacturer to connect the grounded B phase to the center pole of the breaker. Overcarrying devices in the grounded B phase panel, consideration must be given to the circuit breaker individual pole interrupting capabilities. A slash rated breaker can only be used if the lower voltage rating of the breaker is greater than the system voltage. For example, 240/120 volt rated breaker cannot be used on a 240 volt grounded B-phase system. The slash rating 240/120, because it has to be greater than the system voltage, and the 120 volt therefore is not. So it's not capable. This system is not capable of dual voltage services, even though one phase is grounded. A 240 grounded B-phase system can only provide 240 single or three-phase. The circuit breakers with the straight voltage rating, such as 240 or 480. Now, that's something to point out as well with these type of systems. I know that 240 volt, 480 volt, and 600 volt are offered, but I've never inspected a 600 volt. So the common voltage that I have in my area, 240 and 480. So they are permitted to be used on a grounded B-phase system if the system voltage is less than or equal to the breaker rating. A two-pole breaker shall not be used for protecting three-phase circuits. Remember, the grounded B-phase breaker is omitted unless the breaker is marked single-phase or three-phase to indicate the suitability. You can also find in the National Electrical Code under Article 430, 36, and 37, when you have to use this type of system for HVAC equipment, and it needs to be fused at the motor. So under that Article 430, which would be motors, you would need to look at that article to make sure that you're meeting the requirements, the minimum requirements for that type of installation with three-phase grounded B for motor controls. Okay, so I have just a couple examples of this type of system being installed in my area, and I just wanted to share some of the examples so that these type of problems can be avoided, because they should be avoided. Recently, I had a panel of three-phase service, and I went on the job, and the panel wasn't labeled for grounded three-phase, corner grounded phase system. It wasn't rated. So after talking with the electrician, as I mentioned, talking about the meter and talking about the special equipment, the electrician, this is special equipment that we're talking about, had to go back to the contractor and speak with them on this equipment. They called for an inspection the very next day, and I came back to that location, and there was a sticker on the panel that stated that it was a three-phase, three-wire, three-wire. It had the labeling on it. But the end result is that you can't send a label from the factory that states that, because this type of equipment is special ordered, and it has a e-filing number, like it has a listing number that can be traced. So to avoid those type of problems, just make sure that you contact a reputable manufacturer that actually by a nationally recognized testing laboratory to do the listing for this equipment, because that's too fast of a turnaround for this type of equipment. It has to be ordered and specially made and tested. So that's a red flag for me to go back the next day and there's a sticker on there. Okay. So another example. Okay, so another example that I wanted to mention on a job that I had a grounded B-phase service. As I mentioned, there are three, I don't know if I said three, but there are a few manufacturers that actually do this type of system, and they are certified to do it. I go on a job, I see the manufacturer's panel with different manufacturers' breakers. As I mentioned, there are a few. They're not interchangeable. Most manufacturers do not want to that's almost like a trademark thing, I would think. So you can't trade and mix breakers in this type of system. The manufacturer wouldn't allow that, nor would the nationally recognized testing laboratory. Because remember, each one of these manufacturers with their breakers, there's special breakers made for special sizes that go in the panel board for 100 amp with 200 amp, 300. So there are special breakers that actually are designed to fit only in the manufacturer's panel. So that immediately is a red flag. If I see a manufacturer with two different breakers, it's not interchangeable. That's not allowed. Okay, so the grounded in North America, we don't have that a lot. So this is just my opinion that the listing agency, they just wouldn't allow that to happen, and I said that already. So with closing, I just wanted to remind you, when ordering this factory assembled equipment for grounded B phase, make sure that you clearly identify this on your order to tell them that you need this equipment so that there will not be any problems or hesitations for your job to move forward. If all of these things are checked ahead of the job, you will not have a problem. That's the biggest problem that I have when I'm doing these type of inspections. Because it's specially made, it takes a while for it to get shipped to the job. So that's going to delay you quite a bit. So in the coming weeks, I would like to try a YouTube streaming chat session to allow for questions regarding the pre-recorded content. And I wanted to create this platform for the electrical industry so that we can discuss and agree on the minimum requirements of the National Electrical Code for your jobs. My goal is to have a broad agreement as we share and establish a common general understanding of the National Electrical Code. So if you're in the electrical industry and you have a code question, please, I'm going to announce when this is going to happen. Just jump in the chat and reach out, and if I can answer your question, I will. And if I can't, I will get the answer for you. I will use my electrical on-the-job training as well as my electrical educational background to answer those code questions on residential, commercial, and light industrial. So I talk to a lot of contractors, and one of the things that they constantly state is that they wish that the code could be interpreted and enforced with consistency throughout the local jurisdiction. And that's what I'm aiming to do. So as I mentioned, look out for, in the coming weeks, I'm going to YouTube and stream a live stream chat session so that you can jump in there and you can ask questions. So if you have any questions or comments, please contact me on any of my social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, under the moniker Ask the Lady Electrical Inspector. If you would like to add anything to this discussion or provide feedback, you can email me at askthelady.electricalinspector@gmail.com. Questions or concerns. Thank you for tuning in, and good night.